Hi, welcome to The Collectors. I'm Kent Lund. My next guest has a passion for wood and canvas canoes. He collects them, he restores them. He actually builds scale models of historic versions of the canoes. And we're going to do 3 shows. There's a lot to talk about and a lot to understand about how he builds these canoes. So let's welcome craftsman Chris Pearson to The Collectors. Hi, and welcome back to The Collectors. We're here with Chris Pearson. We're going to talk about another old town motorboat, or fishing boat, I would call it, canvas and wood canoe. And we're going to talk about Chris on how he makes these. They're beautifully made. Chris, thanks again. We're going to jump into a whole nother one now.
Yep. So the old town, the story behind this boat, this model, started with Benson Gray, who's the great-great-grandson of the founding fathers of Old Town, one of them, approached me. We're good friends, and he told me about this mold that they found in the basement of his family, and asked me if I would entertain building a model, and I thought about it, and I'm like, well, I like doing different things. I get bored. So I'm like, yeah, let's do this. Let's try it. And I had another friend that had exposure to the real boat.
Oh, okay.
Because I didn't out here. So there's no drawings. There was nothing of all the details of this model. And he took every dimension that I needed to build a whole model. So
that's super helpful.
So Bruce, thank you very much.
So, and the idea here is that we're not sure, historically we're not sure, but it's probably a model that you did to proof of concept to see if they wanted to build it or how it would look, and right?
That's speculation.
Okay.
That's the way I'm leaning. It could have been some kind of a, now this could have been a salesman sample of some kind, or it could have been a sample model for a big distributor. There's no way of knowing.
So at this point, we can create our own story.
Yeah,
right?
we can.
Well, you started building it, and there's an ad for it right now for the original boat. About what year was the original boat?
So that's a catalog. That's out of the catalog,
okay.
Old Town catalog, and they started these in 1928. They had 2 different versions. They had canvas. The canvas ones, they built only in 16 foot in the canvas from 1928 to 41. And then they had an all wood model, totally different construction. Wasn't lap-strake.
Carvel?
I think so, yes.
Okay.
And that they made 14 to 18 foot versions of that, and those were made from 29 to 57. But since I knew wood canvas, that's what we went with. Right. I know that construction, so that's what we.
Sure,
that's
that makes sense.
Yep.
Let's see the next image up here, and okay, this is part of the catalog too.
And there, of course, like with many builders, there's a lot of different options.
Okay.
Yeah.
And here's your friend's original.
Yep, I don't know if that's the exact boat that they took the dimensions off it, but it's spot on to the one I built. Yep.
And that's a canvas, just like their canoes.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, it's covered just like the canoes are.
Okay.
Yeah. That's in my shop. That's applying the planking on the deck. Well, there's all the cedar ribs.
And what kind of cedar do you use?
That's all white cedar, and I get all that. Michigan's loaded with it, so it's all Michigan white cedar.
Is there a mill that you can buy? Do you resaw it yourself?
I do. Okay. I get it rough, and everything I do is table sawed, and I still have all my digits. So.
Yeah. And that's over this mold that's here in front of us.
Exactly right. And stem is made of ash. That's
Okay,
typically
hardwood.
what they use.
Hardwood,
Mhm.
and you're
That's
using
steam bent.
and you're using classic aluminum push pins. I see.
I am.
Those are historic.
They are.
People, you see them in different colors nowadays in plastic, but the aluminum ones,
Yeah.
I have some myself. They're
They-
great. They're
They
really
hold
great.
up really well.
Yeah, they're great.
They're
really
great. Yep.
So at this point, about how much time have you got involved at this point?
Well, as you know, with models, most of the work is all up front. It's all scaling down all the dimensions and going over that and making sure everything's, okay, if the plank is this wide, is it going to end up in the right spot? There's a lot of thinking ahead of time.
And I want to bring up a question you mentioned earlier when we were talking off the camera, because when I build the models, I'm very concerned about scaling down the growth rings on the wood to
Yeah.
be scale.
Wow.
And you've got
You're
a
right.
story about some of your cedar that you got from a barn or a building.
Well, so I try to do that. It's not always,
Yeah.
I try to, there's a fine balance between using the correct type of wood and some of the types of wood. You can't find it fine enough, the ring's fine enough.
Right.
I will say this though, this planking is the best stock that I've ever had. It's off of, it was found in a barn in Chicago, and the beam's well over 100-year-old beam, and I only use it on
Really special.
models. Yeah, it's really nice. It's red cedar, it's not white.
And just so some of our viewers know, when you're talking about very fine, small growth, you're talking about a tree that grew in the woods for a long, long time, very slowly.
Very slowly.
Where much of the
Yep.
wood we use today grows faster, the
Yep.
growth rings are farther apart, and so they don't fit the scale, and it's very hard to find.
Yes.
And getting it out of an old barn, I've seen wood come out of, I've seen western red cedar come out of beams that was 1/16 growth ring. It's very, very old wood.
Yes.
And it's good that someone saves it. So
Yes, it's very true.
yeah,
Kind of neat. When you pop these things off the mold, it's light as a feather, and it's very fragile, and it's just really neat to hold it. It's like a shell, it's just ready to be finished. The canoe, I pulled the canoe off the mold just to get it off the mold, and then the gunnels are applied on the mold to assure correct dimension.
okay.
And then, then that shell goes back on the mold, and then the ribs are attached to the gunnel on the mold. That's
On the
all
mold,
canoes
okay.
are made. That way you're assured symmetry and dimension, and it's right.
Now, I don't see any clinch nails in here.
No, there are not.
and that's fine.
It's 8th scale,
Okay.
and I'm
You
not
can't
even
find
going
a
to try.
Yeah, you can't find it.
Yeah.
Have you ever thought of making a hole and putting something in it that's the right color, or?
I had that as an option
Okay.
to Benson, and Benson, no, I like.
Benson
he,
said, I don't want to spend another 100 hours on
Well,
this.
there's that too. But he liked the look, the clean look,
Got it.
and I had figured that out. And I actually came up with a sample and
Okay.
showed it. He goes, "No, do
No,
it.
don't, yeah.
Make it clean."
Now, at this point here, you've got to start thinking, is that the end of the boat, so where you're going to have to build in a transom at this point?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. Yep.
Ah, there's the transom.
That's transom. Yep. That's, again, necessity is the mother of invention, and trucker's hitch, not
Trucker's hitch,
pull,
yeah.
to pull the mold, the hull in to meet the transom while I'm gluing it.
And the transom's probably hardwood, right?
It's mahogany.
Mahogany,
Yep.
okay. Is it got a frame around it, or is it just a flat piece of mahogany?
Just a flat piece of
Okay.
mahogany. That's all they originally did it.
Okay.
So there's a pattern. I had to make these support structures for under the seats, and you have to do it this way. There's no drawings,
Yeah.
so I had to make a pattern because the hull is ever changing.
And that's a great way to do it.
Yeah.
You could make a pattern at different intervals all the way along by using small pieces and gluing them, and that's a delicate piece of work there, too.
With my industrial model making background, we did that a lot,
Okay.
making patterns like that. Yeah.
A big corporation, and you're making them as simple as that. Isn't that funny? That's fun. That's great.
Yep.
And now we're getting closer.
Now it's starting to look like a boat.
It's got a beautiful shape, too.
It does. Love the lines of this boat. Now I know why Old Town did it. They're pretty.
Yeah.
They're pretty boats.
What's the material in the seats?
That's all mahogany.
Mahogany, okay.
There's a little fixture, outer stem. Cherry, outer stem.
You bent that first before you installed it.
Yep.
You made a template
Yep.
and then, or fixture, okay.
Correct. Boiled it in a pot of water, really, really hot water, and bends really well.
And did you use the same material on the outside of this hull for the canvas?
Yes. It's the outside of the hull is double net polyester, same percent.
That makes so much sense because it stretches and boy, what a great idea!
Works great.
That's really a great idea to make that make this.
You know, after like 100 canoes,
you kind of learn some things.
Yeah, a little bit.
Here's the deck. We're working on the deck here.
Yeah, there's a structure, superstructure to the deck, and also the I don't know, combing to trap the planks for the deck.
Yeah.
I think some people call it a monkey rail, but that was tricky.
How did you come up with those patterns?
All from Bruce's dimensions.
Oh, okay, got it.
I was lucky. That was the fun part, is fitting those planks, decking to the rail. It was a lot of fun to do that. I enjoyed it.
How wide are those planks? On the original boat, they're probably what, 2 inches?
Yeah, they're probably under half inch.
On your model.
Yeah.
Yep. And what kind of
Very
wood is
thin.
What kind of wood is
It's all
that?
mahogany.
That's all mahogany
It's all
too.
Honduras. Yep.
Honduras, okay.
Then my favorite part is when you start varnishing, right?
Yep.
And all the colors, all the wood grain pops.
Yep.
I love it.
Did you use any special dyes or stains on this one in particular?
No. It's
all
all
natural?
What you see is what you get, and time's going to take over and darken it. And
Yeah, I know cherry in particular darkens over the years naturally.
Does. And full disclosure, that did not originally have a cherry outer stem. It's just easier for me to bend and handle it than the ash was.
Sometimes you got to take some shortcuts.
Yeah.
I can't. Is that a combing I see around the cockpit? Kind of a combing?
Yeah.
Now that's a trick. How did you?
That's another. Again, I don't know if I sent you guys the photos of the mold I made for the combing.
Okay, I don't think so.
But I did make a mold and just boiled it.
Yeah.
The combing would be a wall to keep the water out of the boat, in the truest sense.
It's like a frame around the cockpit.
And it's also decorative, but it if the water were to splash up on the deck, it would keep the water from flowing into the boat. And it also finishes off the different pieces of the boat really nice.
And you can see it stands up.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, just so if water comes over the front onto the deck, it doesn't wash right into your lap.
Right, correct.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Yep.
Now the floors here are a different color than other things in the boat. Is it a different wood or just the way it?
So the keelson and the bilge keelsons, the keelsons in the middle and then the bilge keelsons are on either side. Those are ash.
Oh, okay.
I try to stay correct with the original boat was made out of, and then the floorboards are spruce.
Spruce, okay.
Yeah, white spruce.
And there's what I call them.
Actually, let me correct myself. The floorboards are Sitka spruce.
Okay.
You can't get good white spruce anymore, unless you're in Maine.
Okay.
Or the East Coast. So I go with Sitka.
Sitka comes from the west coast, northwest coast, and it's used to build homemade airplanes. Its strength to weight
Really
ratio
good. It's
is
really great airplane material.
it's really nice wood to work with.
Yeah.
Now the knees, I call them knees, maybe they're not
Yeah.
knees, on the
Yeah.
seats,
Mm-hmm.
you carve those out, cut those out?
Yeah, I
and-
made a pattern.
Okay.
And, you know, at each gunnel depth, because that gunnel changes, the boat actually gets deeper toward the front of the boat.
Oh,
So that dimension changed. So, you know, all three
Yeah.
sets are different.
any idea, Chris, how many hours you've got on this boat? Why, educated wild
I-
guess. 500?
No.
No, good. You're fast then.
Well, I'm used to this construction,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
So I'd have to go back and look.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you don't want to, if you're having fun doing it, you don't care about the hours
Yeah.
anyway, right?
Well, it was a paying job, so I should have. No, I did keep track of my hours, and Benson was happy, and I can't tell you offhand what they were.
I just was curious.
Yeah.
I think the audience wonders sometimes when you look at these things,
Yeah, true.
how long does it take?
True.
And
Yes,
I'm
you're
sure
right.
when you're starting out, it takes a lot longer than after you've done it a few times. You've got
And it-
shortcuts and
And you know what? As you know, all the work, a lot of the work is in the mold.
yeah,
Because I didn't have to loft the boat
right.
where you take the lines off the boat. And I didn't have to make the mold. And I saved them a lot of money by not making that mold. So the mold is really a lot of the build.
Can we
Yeah.
pick up the mold and have
Yeah.
let's look at it?
Yep.
And this was found in the basement of the original owner?
The Gray family.
Okay.
It's red cedar, I believe. I think it's red cedar. But I have no idea how old it is. I don't know if it was made before the first boat was put out in 28 or it was built in the 30s or 40s. I had no idea. I will tell you this, there was only one set of nails from ribs on this mold. So I'm going with there was only one boat built off of this. I don't know, there's no way of knowing, but that would be my guess.
One model boat. Yeah.
One model boat, I think I'm the second guy to do it.
And maybe they reviewed it and decided to build it. That's what gave them
Right.
after they saw it.
I'm actually honored.
Oh, I would be.
And I was a little nervous
It's a great honor.
to work
yeah.
on it. Yeah.
I'd be nervous just having it in my shop. What if something
Yeah.
happens in my shop?
Well, I
'Cause
got to
it's-
get it back to Benson or I
That's
don't
right.
think he'll talk to me anymore. So,
Well, that's the Old Town Model
Yeah.
C
C-model.
model.
Yep.
And it's made exactly the way the old canoes are made.
Yep.
Now, in our next episode, we're going to talk about a sailing canoe. It's also Old Town? No, it is, okay. In our next episode, we're going to talk about a sailing canoe. Thanks, Chris. We
Yep,
really
you're
appreciate it. We're learning something.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Hi, my name's Kent Lund. I hope you enjoyed my show called The Collectors. If you'd like to see more content on Chris Pearson, please take a look at the next two shows. Thanks.